Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Nerdcast. You've been waiting on this all off season. I know. This is our time to shine. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through in podcast form and select the field of 64. Okay, we're going to look at national seeds. We're going to look at all of our host sites. We're going to decide which at-large teams are worthy and which ones are just they just have a little bit left to prove. So again, I'm Mark Etheridge and I'm here to talk with you guys, Kendall Rogers and Aaron Fitt, and we're going to select the field of 64.
Can I just say how excited I am? The Nerdmaster General's first intro, like the very first time,
bad.
One take.
Cold.
Nerdmaster General, like boom, we got this thing right out of the chute. Thanks to our good buddy Mike Farron for recording the new intro for the Nerdcast. Excited about this. Excited about the first Nerdcast of the year. You know, people. Just yesterday, someone asked on Twitter, "Are you guys still going to do the Nerdcast?" And I said, "Hell yes, we are. We're doing one this week, so it's go time, baby. I'm fired up.
Let's do it."
I know Aaron loves looking at the RPI on April 5th, so
yeah. You know what? It's a little earlier than I like, but
there are things you can take from it.
Yes, there are. This now we're legitimately at the halfway point, and so it is time. It is time. We have to acknowledge the realities of the RPI.
I will say this about the RPI, fellas. About 2 weeks ago, there were some pieces of it, especially in like the top 30 to 35 that you're looking at. And you're going, like, how in the world is that even possible? Now I feel like 2 weeks later, you look at the RPI and, like, for the most part, things look pretty normal. I mean, there are a couple of weird teams in there like Indiana State and Xavier. But other than that, I mean, it looks pretty normal through about 35 to 40. So, which isn't always the case this time of year.
Yeah, it's become a little bit less volatile the last couple of weeks. There are still a few things. There are some clubs in in the SEC who have not played a lot of road games yet, and they're about to, and that will adjust, and there'll be some volatility because of that. And like LSU's going on the road this weekend, Arkansas is going on the road this weekend. Those are two kind of that we'll look at and talk about. But I think that's the cool part of this is. We kind of have an idea because a lot of teams have played those road games, and that's where that volatility really comes from. Yeah. So it's a really cool conversation tonight. And if you want, we can just dive right in because number one,
Northeastern.
Well, could be. Your biased is talking, but I think for me,
I've already put it on the sheet.
We have a couple of different ways that we can approach this. One, we can talk about the best team and who we think is going to end up being number one. And of course, that's LSU. We could also talk about who has the best resume right now. Okay. Because the best resume right now is Kentucky, and it's not even close. Okay. Now, the question is what's going to happen long term. And that's what we're projecting out, right? We're not looking at if the season ended today, we're looking at the season ends Memorial Day. So that's where, that nuance comes in really the part that I'm not very good at is projecting what's going to happen. Okay. So that's where Kendall and Aaron are really good at this. They know what's going to happen. They can pick all these games properly. I cannot. Right. So I can look at a resume and tell you who has, who should be slotted where in certain places. But so if we're looking at LSU as number one, I can't really argue with that. I saw them last weekend. They are uber talented, and if they stay healthy, they are a problem for anyone they play.
They're the best team, and here's where I'll put the standard caveat in here because yes, this is we are obviously considering strongly what has been accomplished to this point, but also listen, the metrics aren't fully baked yet. I mean, Kentucky. They're number one in the RPI, and you say, "Oh my God, they're 10-2 against the top. What is it? Top 25."
Yep.
But 3 of those games are against number 18 Elon. Who, hey, tip of your cap. Elon's had a great year. Are they gonna be a top 25 RPI team? In another 6 weeks? I doubt it. Indiana State guys. 3 of those wins for Kentucky are against Indiana State, who's 15-12 overall, and yet they're 23 in the RPI. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's not. Does
it have staying power?
It does not have staying power, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Indiana, I hate good team that's come on a little bit. 27 RPI. I mean, so there's Alabama. I mean, not a great team in the SEC right now. I mean, I still believe they can make a run, but 17 in the RPI, Kentucky gets credit because they won 2 out of 3 there. There's a lot of these. Missouri, like, it's not like that 10-2 is against the elites, the teams that are really going to stick around. Missouri, Alabama, even in the SEC, like, those teams are going to drop. Okay. So, let's just take it with a grain of salt. That's all I'm saying. The metrics today, we have to take them with a grain of salt. We just do.
Can't argue with that.
LSU for me is an easy call here.
It's easy call, and like LSU also has UK at home next weekend, so I think we all suspect what's going to happen there.
The only caveat I would list when I talk about LSU is their non-conference strength of schedule is hovering around 200, and we saw how the committee rewards that last year. So, just if there's any other choice there, I wouldn't rule that out. Somebody else gets that number 1 spot. So
I mean, you could talk about
plant that up there for later. Yeah. And if if there is an alternative there, don't be surprised.
That's a great point. What is it about LSU's schedule that's dragging? I guess Western Michigan doesn't help. 7-19 record.
All home games too.
Yeah, it's true. It's a lot of home games. But like, there's not a lot of like bottom feeders on this resume. Really, that's the thing. It's like, it's not a lot of bottom feeders. It's just a lot of home games.
Yeah.
Interesting. Nonetheless, I mean, just the fact that they've won series against Tennessee and Arkansas and A&M on the road, plus the Round Rock, weekend was good. I mean, I still think the resume is really good. Like, I think it's better than when metrics be damned. LSU's resume is better than Kentucky's resume. I will take that. I'll go to the mat against anybody arguing that point. I mean, series wins over Arkansas, Tennessee, and at A&M.
It's pretty good.
Blows away anything Kentucky's done. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have LSU and Wake back to back. Actually, they're very similar. I mean, Wake's non-conference schedule is not good at all, but they are 16-4 against top 100 teams.
Yeah.
Top 6 RPI. I mean, very very comparable resumes. Yep. I would say those are 1 and 2 for me.
Yeah,
I agree.
The third team for me is Vandy. Okay, and the reason I have Vandy there is their non-conference was really strong. They had the best non-conference of any SEC team, and they are just dominating people. Now, granted, they have not played a very challenging SEC schedule, but their closest game, they've had 2 4-run games. Okay, they are just killing people. I think that obviously there are more challenging games to come, but right now they have been they've been pretty dominant for me. I think the team I would put against them is maybe Florida. Florida passes the eye test for me. When I watch them play, I think that's the team that's going to win a lot of games. They just bludgeon people, and that rotation is very talented. Although it's kind of been a little inconsistent the last couple of weeks. But those are the next 2 for me. Yeah. And what do you guys think?
I think Vandy. I mean, first of all, the fact they're 9-0 in the SEC, and I get that Ole Miss and Mississippi State have struggled, and Georgia, but I mean, there's still a lot of talent on those teams. Ole Miss out of those 3 is the one that I still think can make a run.
Usually good SEC teams drop at least one of those games, right? One of the first 9.
Exactly. Sweeping 3 straight series against teams that are, I mean, again, it's not like we're talking about, I mean, even for those teams struggles, like none of those teams are going to go 6-24 in the league. I mean,
right.
It's not like we're talking about some real bottom.
And they can hit. Yeah. Yep. All 3 of those teams can hit.
Yep. Yeah, you're right for sure. And then again, like the fact that they won a series against UCLA in the non-conference, they beat Maryland non-conference, they beat Oklahoma State and Texas. It's really impressive body of work. Like they might be the one team. Well, I mean, their body of work, you can make an argument for them over LSU. I think LSU's SEC body of work is better.
Right. No doubt.
But yeah, Vandy 3 for me. I feel good about that. Kendall, you good with that?
Yeah, totally good with that. I love the fact they went out and played teams in non-conference. Actually, I mean, that's a great non-conference schedule.
Yep. So who are your contenders next? I mean, I mentioned Florida. Who do you guys have?
I would say Virginia and South Carolina would be very much in that mix for me.
Okay. So Florida. Just checking the resumes here. Yeah.
So Virginia's RPI as of as we record
2.
this on Wednesday, they open the day with a 2 RPI. South Carolina 3.
Yep.
Gamecocks I do like that are 8-1 in the league. Again, it's not like
the most challenging schedule yet.
Not the most challenging SEC schedule at Georgia versus
It
Missouri.
changes this weekend.
Yeah, and also like 2 of their series were on the road.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, there's a Clemson series in there. Non-conference though, obviously not great. Like UMass Lowell's 5-20, that hurts you. But anyway, Virginia. I mean, who else should be in this? Is there a Big 12? There's really not a Big 12.
Too
team.
soon.
Yeah.
Too soon for Big 12.
There's really not
too
a Pac-12
for Pac-12
team either. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those
Boston
SEC
College
teams
would be in the mix.
Boston College needs to be in the
if you
mix.
want to talk about them, yeah.
I mean, shoot, they've got the best resume out of any of these teams. You could argue.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's okay, not more than the 3 teams we have on the board already. But if you look what they did in the non-conference, for me, I mean, first of all, again, all those games were on the road, right? Like they didn't play their first home game until March 22nd.
13-4 on the road.
Yeah, like that's wild. The wins, I guess, for the Florida State series win no longer looks good. It's too bad. Winning 2 out of 3 at Florida State doesn't help you. That's wild. But at Virginia Tech, I mean, Hokies are coming on. 2 out of 3 against NC State. NC State's coming on, and it's a top 10 RPI team. 2 out of 3 against Georgia Tech. They're fine. And then a win against Rutgers. I think they beat UConn once. They beat Tennessee once. I mean, they've got some nice wins in the non-conference in the midweeks. It's a neat resume. But that said, I mean, I can't quite pull the trigger on them over Virginia if we're just kind of looking ahead here.
Yeah, and that would be my question is the look ahead. Where do they fit? Or you guys tell me from a talent standpoint, are they going to keep this rolling or is it kind of smoke and mirrors and good luck?
I mean, I feel like they're like one of those teams like we're just like waiting for them to stumble and they just keep winning impressive series.
Yeah.
So
they've won all 7 weekends to this point, and it's again like heavily on the road and like it's impressive.
Everything's stacked against them and they keep knocking the door down.
It's pretty impressive. But yeah, I would say for me, like I would still have them behind Virginia and South Carolina and maybe Florida as well. Okay.
So out of Virginia, Florida, South Carolina, what's your pecking order here? We're projecting.
Yeah, I say Virginia. I might go Virginia, South Carolina, Florida. The fact that South Carolina, I mean, they're 1 game ahead of Florida at the moment. Whatever. They're also 8 spots ahead in the RPI.
Who do you think's better?
I mean, honestly, it might be the Gamecocks. I don't think it's a slam dunk that it's Florida, because I think the Gamecocks are in better shape on the mound. And we'll see what happens with Will Sanders. He's starting tomorrow against LSU. That'll be an interesting test, fascinating test. But nonetheless, I just think South Carolina's got more depth on the mound. I mean, Florida's. I like Florida.
Definitely have more depth.
Yeah,
I like Florida's high-end guys.
And
like certainly their lineup. Although South Carolina has a really good lineup, I'm not betting against Florida's lineup.
I'm with you on that.
That's arguably the best in the country.
Gamecocks do, I believe, host Florida. That series is in Columbia, and it could be a big one.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably lean Virginia, South Carolina, Florida in that order, the next 3. But Kendall, I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I like Virginia for sure there. I would lean Florida over South Carolina, but like you could go either way on that one. And I'm with you. Issue with it.
You guys both like Florida, okay?
I do, but I'm good with South Carolina next at 6.
Do we pull the trigger on BC at 7? Do we have? I mean, based on what they've done,
it's all about staying power. I mean, are you confident?
Let's look ahead for BC.
Okay.
We're at Louisville this week. Duke at home. At North Carolina, Clemson at home. I mean, Duke's good, pretty good. But those are series I would favor BC at home. At Wake Forest, and they've got Notre Dame at home. It's not. You know what? It's like I feel like it's navigable.
Doable.
When you're starting position of strength at 8-4 in the league. It's easy to kind of envision them at least going 500 the rest of the way and finishing, 4 games over 500 in the league.
Yeah.
You know what direction I would go here? I would finish off with Boston College and Oklahoma State. I think I have a lot of
Oklahoma
faith.
State
If you look at
already?
Oklahoma State's, huh?
Oklahoma State already at number 8?
Yeah, actually, well, I mean, if you're projecting, I think to me they're the clear-cut best team in the Big 12.
I agree.
You can't argue that.
And I guess that's the issue. Like you look at the Pac-12 has teams in better RPI shape with UCLA and Oregon both in the top dozen. But like UCLA 6-5 in the league, Oregon 6-3 in the league. Feels like
Put it this way, I think as we're projecting here, I think one of a Big 12 champ or a Pac-12 champ is going to be a top 8 seed.
I would definitely agree with that.
So the question would be, which one out of those two conferences would we project to be that top 8 seed?
Where's the biggest separation? Because to me, I mean, maybe Oak State, since they were able to beat Texas. Maybe that's where that lands, because the Pac-12 to me looks like a big jumble mass of
yeah, and even Stanford, like I know we liked them in the human polls, but like Stanford has resume-wise has a ton to prove.
Yeah, way too early for them.
But Oklahoma State, we talk about non-conference schedule. Oklahoma State sitting at 67, which isn't bad.
Yeah, it's good. 3-3 versus top 25, 6-4 versus top 50. Yeah, it's not. It matches up with the other teams that we just talked about.
Yeah, I'm good with Oklahoma State at 7. I think because I think it's kind of a vote of confidence in that team. We all, I think we all think they're the best team in that league.
I have more faith. Yeah. Put it this way: I have more faith in terms of today's metrics that Oklahoma State will be in this discussion over those other 3 teams.
Yeah,
as of right now.
Okay,
and Stanford being would be the other one for me, but it's just it's too early.
I think it's too soon. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it'd be Boston College or Arkansas for the final spot.
Okay.
We've already got 4 SEC in our top 6.
Yeah, we have 2 ACC. So, I mean, what you do is do Boston College 8 and Arkansas 9.
I think I'm fine with that. How amazing would it be, by the way? How amazing would it be, by the way, if the Hogs went to Chestnut Hill for a super? Can you just
what if they moved it to Fenway?
I mean, they don't have to.
The Hogs
that would be awesome.
BC being at Fenway for a super.
That would be awesome, but obviously they don't have to now. Now the BC actually has a really, really good facility.
Yeah.
Like it's a legit facility. Like they would definitely host on campus. But yeah, Fenway would.
Can
be
they
cool.
just do Fenway just to please me?
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
I know. We'd be drawing straws to see who goes to cover it.
No shit. Yeah. But yeah, I like BC Arkansas.
Okay.
I feel like we got to get some Pac-12. Like I feel like Pac-12 team would be next for me. And if we think it's Stanford,
is it Stanford or UCLA or Oregon? Those would really be your 3 teams.
Yeah, and you could almost stack them in order. Like the next 3, you could think about it really.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if Mike Gambino hears this, the Red Sox are on the road that weekend at the Yankees.
They're not playing at Fenway. They built this beautiful facility. They're going to host on campus. What's the matter with you? Arkansas 9. Let's do. You want to do Stanford 10?
You want to do Stanford?
Vote of confidence.
Yeah, I'd just say you put the projected Pac-12 champ in that spot.
I think they're 7-2 in the league, which UCLA 6-5, so it's an advantage there.
So the next group, I mean, you have UCLA, you have Texas, you have Tennessee, you have Kentucky, Oregon, maybe Miami. What about Campbell? Is it too soon for Campbell? I think they're in my top 16. We may have to arm wrestle over it, but they're there right now.
I'm with you. I mean, I said on the podcast this week they're going to Omaha, so I'm with you.
Yeah, I guess so.
I do like, I mean, at some point we do need to talk about Kentucky. They're number 1 in the RPI. They're ranked 1 in the SEC. Like,
yeah, so where are they going to land? Right.
Maybe this is the spot.
Yeah,
like
this would be a spot for them.
If we're giving BC some benefit of the doubt, we need to give Kentucky some benefit of the doubt.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a few years ago. Remember when DBU was the top seed, and we
Yeah.
still had them like 12 on our board.
Yeah.
The difference was that they weren't playing SEC competition.
No,
Okay?
exactly.
So
Yeah.
no offense, but it just means
a little
more.
different, slightly different.
Slightly more than the Missouri Valley.
I would probably go with like Texas, maybe Texas here.
So
I don't know.
16 the RPI currently. 4-2 in the Big 12. One swept Texas Tech. Yeah, I could see Texas next.
And certainly playing better at the moment. Yeah, they're trending in the right direction, despite the weekend.
And I could see UCLA as a vote of confidence as the next team too. Like again, 6-5, I get it. Like not great, but a team that we all kind of believe in, and they're in the top 10 in the RPI.
Yeah, I'm on board with UCLA.
So UCLA 13. So that leaves us with 3 spots. We've got Tennessee, Oregon, Miami, Campbell. Anyone else we want to put in this discussion? Coastal?
Yeah, Coastal would be one to talk about. I don't know that
The Carolina teams, Coastal, Campbell, East Carolina.
Elon?
No. Yeah. Although Scott Gustafson was giving me the hard press on putting Elon as a host in our projections this week.
Gus, I love it. Oh,
the esteemed Phoenix alum.
That's right.
Yeah. So with 3 more spots.
West Virginia?
Yeah, if you feel they can finish second in the third in the Big 12, then
I do not feel that way.
They're 22 in the RPI, and they're currently 2-1 in the league. They just started.
Are they going to be ahead of Texas Tech? Are they going to be ahead of whomever?
UConn, I would put in the mix as well. That's probably the list for me. I mean, Santa Barbara's on the radar. Northeastern's on the radar.
I'm probably thinking Oregon here.
I like that. I like Oregon. I'm a believer.
Yeah, they're very much trending up right now.
And then there's 2 spots left, and I think Campbell's got one of them.
Campbell and the Vols, I think, or Miami. Where's Miami?
Yeah, those are the 2 for me. Is picking one of those.
I still feel pretty good about Tennessee.
So I saw them this weekend, and that is obviously the rotation. Those guys, I think they're pressing a little bit. They've had some deals with maybe some substandard defense behind them, and they feel like they got to strike everybody out. I think they're pressing a little bit. But the lineup was pretty good against LSU, who can pitch a little bit. And I came away feeling pretty upbeat about Tennessee. The problem is their freaking schedule is just a gauntlet, man. I mean, they just played LSU. Okay. Yeah. Now they got Florida. Guess who they got after that? They got Arkansas and Vanderbilt. Gosh. I mean, come on. You can get buried in this 4-week stretch. And then South Carolina's looming out there too. So
we've got 6
challenging.
We've got 6 SEC hosts already too.
Right. And that you're kind of working into my point here, because I think because of how difficult their SEC schedule is, and they really didn't do a whole lot non-conference, I think they can be a team that kind of gets, maybe they have a hosting resume, but they're one of those teams that pops up on the board as a 2 seed on selection day because there's just somebody else they want to reward.
You make a great point with their schedule. Now there's opportunity there if they win a bunch of those series.
Yeah, they're going to have a top 10 RPI.
But it's not going to be easy.
Can I just make a pitch for someone here?
Yep.
I would have Coastal in over one of these 2 Pac-12 schools, and here's why. If you think back to last year, and granted every field's different, the Sun Belt champion hosted with a top 20 RPI. Coastal not only is probably the projected champ in that league right now, but look at their non-conference strength of schedule, 15.
15, yeah.
How about that?
You are going to be rewarded for winning that kind of league, and by the way, having that kind of non-conference schedule.
I totally agree. The only deal is, though, Kendall, is that league got tougher, and it's going to be hard to maintain
to sustain.
that. To keep that pace.
True.
I don't understand their non-conference strength of schedule.
Yeah, I know. If you dig into it, you're like, wait, we're like, how's it rated so high?
Look at who they've played. I don't understand. Like, what's their best non-conference weekend? Sweeping Davidson, who's 16-11 with a 254 RPI. I mean, like Illinois, they swept. Illinois 12-13. Okay, it's a 57 RPI. They're 12-13. You know, James Madison for 3 games, like
the midweeks.
Creighton, like for 3 games. I mean, Fairfield, Middle Tennessee, VCU. There's no there. I don't understand.
You know, some people on this podcast like to poo-poo the midweek games and focus more on the midweek, but those games count just the same.
I'm so irritated by this.
You know, the other team, if we're projecting ahead, like East Carolina, I get that they struggled against Houston over the weekend, but like I still feel like East Carolina is going to dominate the American.
Yeah, I agree.
And they have the number 33 non-conference with the schedule.
Yeah, they can get back into it. I don't know that I'm there this week, but I agree. There's somebody.
Well, let's go Campbell 15 then.
Yeah.
With UCLA and Oregon, and then we can figure out this last team. I would say Tennessee and then Campbell. I think Campbell at 16 would be a good spot.
Well, I mean, here's the thing.
Are we sure on Tennessee? Because we just kind of talked about their chances. And
Mark's argument to me was strong. Their schedule is brutal.
Yeah.
And they're the 7th SEC host. Like, I think I would
and their non-conference, I mean, their SOS right now is 178. That's not going to get you the benefit of the doubt.
I think I feel better about Miami's chances where they are at 8-4 in the ACC with a 14 RPI. They've got a couple of tough road series coming up at Virginia and at North Carolina, but then it's Georgia Tech at home, or at Louisville, at Pitt, and versus Duke. Like, I think it's doable. It's not easy.
You know the one ACC team that, like, I'm sitting here. You know, when we started this process, I'm going through and going, okay, I got to find this team because they're definitely going to be a top 16. Louisville, and you go down to Louisville, they're 40, with 193rd non-conference week of schedule.
When are we going to change?
They're in trouble in terms of being in a top 16.
When are we going to change the way we schedule Louisville? I mean, like, really, like I feel like we go through this do we have to play Bucknell every year? You know, for 3 games, like, really, like, or the teams of that ilk, like it's just every year. Home baked. I mean, Bucknell for 3, Bowling Green for 3, Dayton for 3. Like, come on, guys. You got to do better. You got to do better.
Look at what Kentucky did schedule-wise. I know you don't want to look at them and model yourself after them, but, I mean, you could take a little bit of it and not get any on you, and that would be good for you.
Kentucky, I mean, Louisville did play the one weekend at Shriners, which was good.
Yeah.
And TCU, Michigan, but it doesn't offset the other 3 weeks of not good.
Yeah, so I mean, they're a 2 seed, but I think for me it's Miami. I mean, I would consider NC State here, you know, but I think they're the series from them.
Yeah, so I think NC State's coming on, but no,
right?
Not I'm not there
not yet. Right.
I think I like Miami. Miami would be the 4th ACC host, which feels reasonable.
Yeah. I feel like to be the 7th SEC host, they've got to be like, you better have a really good resume.
Right. They need to be head and shoulders above the other contender. Right. They need to be like 13 in the pecking order, 14.
Yeah.
Right. Not 16.
Yep. I agree. So are we good with Miami?
I am.
Others in the mix: UConn, Tennessee, Coastal, East Carolina, West Virginia. I think that's kind of our pool.
Although I would flip Campbell and Miami. I feel like if you're matching teams up like that, like, I just don't like.
I'm fine with that.
I think you're giving more credit to a high level ACC team record wise versus a team that's beating up on.
Okay.
Well, let's be honest, some nobodies.
Yeah, I mean, Campbell has done, again, good work in the non-conference. I mean, East Carolina, they've beaten twice midweek. They played Coastal and lost to them. Boy, Coastal beats everybody midweek. Duke, they lost to. Anyway.
Somebody made that point earlier, Aaron. I don't know who that was.
I know.
I think Georgia Southern last year, they were the 16, right? So I think there's some comps with Campbell.
Good point.
that might.
And
fit.
again, like you can make an argument for Coastal over Campbell, and I'm listening to it if you want to make
Mhm.
it. But I think Campbell.
I'm comfortable with Campbell.
Not
over
yet,
Russell.
right?
Okay.
I do think I want to see a little bit more from Coastal and
Okay.
prove that they have staying power because
Next-
that's tough.
The next 2 weeks are critical. At Old Dominion versus Southern Miss. The next 2 weeks, that'll tell us a lot about Coastal chances to host.
You darn right.
Yep.
And we'll have coverage of D1 Baseball. I think Shotgun Spratling's going to catch part of that ODU series. I'm going to hopefully catch part of the Southern Miss at Coastal series. So stay tuned, D1Baseball.com. All right, so we've got our 16 LSU. So we've got, what do we say? 6 SEC hosts.
Yep.
LSU, Vanderbilt, Florida, South Carolina, Arkansas, Kentucky. We've got 4 in the ACC, Wake Forest, Virginia, BC, all getting top 8 seeds, and then Miami. We've got Oklahoma State and Texas out of the Big 12. We've got Stanford, UCLA, Oregon out of the Pac. We've got Campbell out of the Big South. Big South, how about that? And is that it? I think that's it.
You got it.
All right, let's move. Let's just keep it moving, guys. We did a good job. We said we are going to try to be a little tighter. 31 minutes for the first half. This is great. Look at us. It's all because we let you host, Mark.
Yeah, I'm taking all the credit.
Strong to quite strong work. All right, so part 2 of the Nerdcast is where we go conference by conference, and we're going to go in alphabetical order, as we like to do, and kind of put our at-large teams on the board. So we're going to start with the America East, where the Maine Black Bears are 6-0. I think we had Binghamton in the preseason. I mean, you could stick with Binghamton, but I like Maine, guys. Let's throw the Fighting Gennaros a bone.
Yeah, how about that?
Our guy Chris Gennaro, I'm proud Maine alum. So
okay,
make that change, Maine in the America East.
I'm going to defer to your American East expertise.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Remember when the American was a really intriguing league? Not so much anymore.
It is a 1-bid league, gentlemen, and it is East Carolina.
So to give you an idea, the American, you got East Carolina at 24, and the next highest RPI is 116, which is good. Which
is the USF Bulls, who are 12-18 overall. And they're the number 2 team in the RPI there. UCF was kind of an early season darling, guys. They're 143 in the RPI. I mean, yikes. Woof.
Yeah, not getting in.
No. So, I mean, they could be a 2-bid league if the Pirates don't win the auto bid. Otherwise, it's going to be a 1-bid league. Wild. A10, boys, we had Davidson in the preseason. They just started conference play. They're only 1 weekend in. Davidson has been injury ravaged. Michael Carrico still sidelined for a while, but they're hanging in. They're 16-11. They're 2-1 in the league. St. Louis also in that made the 3. They swept their first series. I say we stick with Davidson.
Okay,
agreed.
All right, ACC. Okay, so we've got already in the Deeks.
At Boston College,
Virginia, Boston College, and Miami. Those 4 in.
Mm-hmm.
Miami, Virginia, Wake Forest, College. Louisville. I think we were comfortable with that.
Yeah.
So I know Virginia Tech started poorly in conference. They're 4-8 now after winning a big series this past week. 32 in the RPI. I still would have them on our board here as a team that I think will make a rally.
Okay.
Florida State and Notre Dame would be the 2 teams we had in the preseason that I would probably take off this list.
They gone.
At least for this week.
At least Florida State for sure.
Florida State
guys. Gosh. Florida State's lost 13 their last 14 games, I believe.
Unbelievable. They're 3-9 in the league and 12-16 overall. It's hard to fathom.
Yeah.
Irish 5-7 in the league, 44 RPI. We'll see. But so we're basically, are we adding anyone? Duke, I think, needs to probably come on the worksheet.
Agreed.
Georgia Tech would be a bubble-icious right now at 6-6 in the league with a 61 RPI.
That's tough.
I would have Georgia Tech
They'd
behind.
probably out. Yeah,
I would have them behind Duke in the pecking order.
agreed.
NC State obviously below 500, but robust RPI and coming on strong. And then North Carolina, obviously in good shape at 33 RPI.
A little iffy right now, though. They're 3-7,
Yeah.
or they're not 3-7. I was looking at something else, but they scuffled a little bit lately.
Yeah, they've been up and down. I mean, but you know what? Ultimately, they're fine. They're closer to making a run at making a host than they are being on the bubble, if you ask me. And I think that's it. No Pitt, no Clemson, no Florida State, no Notre Dame. I believe those are the teams that are for sure out here.
Agree.
So currently, we'll put Georgia Tech highlighted in yellow as a bubble team. I guess we could put Duke also highlighted as a bubble team, but Duke ahead of Georgia Tech.
As of right now, we have 11 ACC teams on the board for discussion.
Yeah.
Well, two really for discussion.
In that case, let's just go ahead and cut Georgia Tech now.
They're not going to be in.
I mean, like, they're not going to get 11. So if Georgia Tech's our 11th team, let's just cut them. All right. Sun boys, preseason, obviously we had Liberty, but now it's clearly Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
Correct.
7-2 in the league with a 54 RPI. I think they also won a series against Liberty already. Did they not? They did.
RPI is not their friend, though.
No, 54 RPI though. So that's really the best RPI in the league. So like, it's probably going to be one bid league. Like at this point, it's hard to envision FGCU keeping its RPI in that large range from where they are currently.
Yeah, so that's going to probably end up being his conference tournament winner.
Most likely. Big 12, Oklahoma State, Texas are already in as hosts. We've got TCU with a 38 RPI and a 5-4 conference record. We've got West Virginia certainly in.
Add them to the board. Yep, they'd be in.
Oklahoma, we had in the preseason, they're out at the moment with a 2-4 conference record, 16-14 overall, and a 62 RPI, and not trending in a great direction. Texas Tech, 51 RPI. I mean, we're going to put them in based on projection here, but not in a great spot at the midseason point. It's always tricky with when you're located in Lubbock, RPI wise. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Right now, it's not.
Well, how about speaking of oddities and scheduling? How about the fact that Texas Tech goes out of conference this weekend to play North Dakota State, and then they go to Stanford for a Monday, Tuesday midweek bout?
Yeah,
very bizarre.
Doing what they got to do. I think that's it right now for this league. I mean, Kansas State is 5-4, but with the 122 RPI, not a position of strength right now.
Yeah, I mean, you could put Oklahoma on the worksheet, but I don't think they're getting in.
They're
not
right
this now. Week. Yeah, not this week. No, I mean, what have they done that inspires confidence at this point? I mean, they're basically a 500 team, and this is my preseason sleeper pick, but they're not doing it. So, so that's only 5 for the Big 12. Big East, guys, UConn.
And Xavier.
I guess we need to put Xavier.
I don't think that has staying power, but they are 30 in the RPI.
About that.
Won 7 in a row.
17-12 overall. I'm guessing that is a largely road-baked schedule. Is why 13-9 on the road.
LSU.
Yeah, 13-9 on the road, 3-2 at home. They also played at Oregon for 4, got swept.
At Wofford too.
Probably helped them to go to Oregon to get swept in 4 games because the RPI is stupid.
At West Virginia.
At Santa Barbara, didn't get swept, won 1 out of 3. RPI loves to reward teams for going on the road and playing good teams, even if they get their.
Would you like me to explain the formula to you?
No, I understand the formula. I'm telling you, the formula is stupid. I'm just reiterating that the formula is stupid, and we can do better. Hey, Coach Cohen, I know you're listening. We can do better. We can do better than this. I'm sure of it. There's some smart people out there, smart people in the committee. We don't have to just lean on the RPI. Let's move on, guys. Big South.
The Big South does not need to be discussed. It's Campbell. Moving on. Big Ten.
Big Ten, Maryland. Places we had Maryland, Rutgers, Iowa.
Yeah.
Indiana would have to come on.
Indiana.
Iowa guys, what do we do with them? They're 72 in the RPI. We like them in the human polls. They've been in and out of the top 25, but 72 in the RPI. They did beat LSU once. 17-6 overall.
It's just, how do you project them? I mean, it's so early right now. They're 1-2, and that was against Maryland. So
right. It's just like they just started conference. Like, who freaking knows? Rutgers, despite their ups and downs and their trials and their tribulations, they're 36 in the RPI. They are above 500 at 15-13. So, got a shot.
The problem is they would not get in right now with the 1-6 record against top 50.
No,
they'd have zero shot at getting in even with that RPI.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on both Michigan and Michigan State right now.
Yeah,
Spartans 56 RPI, 4-2 in the league, 16-9 overall. Michigan 67 RPI, 16-12 overall, 5-1 in the league. Right now, I don't know what we do in this league. Nebraska probably. I mean, like they're down 91 in the RPI right now. They're out. I like projecting Maryland as our automatic qualifier. I think they're the best team. I like putting Indiana as an at-large team. Do we just go with those two right now, or do we want to put a third or fourth on the board?
That's where I'm leaning. I think the RPI is the problem for the others.
So would you cut Rutgers and Iowa?
Yeah.
Or leave Iowa maybe as a projection?
I mean, if you want to put them on the board and we'll evaluate them against whoever we have left, but
let's do that for now.
By the way,
go ahead.
I was going to say, Aaron, by the way, I know you'll love this since we just went on an RPI rant, but Michigan State's RPI is being propped up by 2 road games against Indiana State.
I mean, listen, you play the Sycamores. They're 15. They got a winning record, guys. They're 15-13. The Sycamores. I mean, like
you don't roll in a Terre Haute.
That's right.
Expect walk all over the Sycamores.
We should get bonus points for beating a 15-13 team.
I should get bonus points for saying Terre Haute right.
I thought it was Terre Haute. Is it Terre Haute?
I think it's Terre Haute.
Can't help you there.
Where's David Cipher when we need him?
Yeah, where is Sife Dog? I've been to Terre Haute.
Oh, you might be right. I think it is Terre Haute.
Mm-hmm.
I've always heard the T.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't know if I was wrong because it happened one time.
Unlikely. Big West is interesting this year. We've got the Gauchos in our preseason projected AQ.
Yeah,
we remain that. How about the Titans, guys?
I know, right?
Titans. Here for the Teen Titans.
Great story this year.
Best PA guy in all of college sports, right there. I love that guy. 7-2 in the league. 49 overall, played a strong non-conference, and a 48 RPI. I mean, like, I like the cut of their jib, guys.
Yeah, they're on the board.
I like the cut of their jib. The fighting Dietrichs.
Yeah, put them on the board for sure.
We'll highlight them, but they're on the board. Is that it for this league? I think it probably is.
Probably.
Irvine, 49 RPI, but
little light.
Just a 4-5 start in the league. Let's see what they can see if they can make a run. The Colonial is interesting this year, boys.
Yeah, no doubt about it. 2 teams, and that's it. Elon, Northeastern, Elon at 18 RPI. Northeastern at 29 in the RPI. The next best RPI in that league is 81, William and Mary.
But, I mean, don't be surprised if UNCW or Charleston or the Tribe upset the apple cart, because all those teams have had good first halves. Their RPIs are not at large-ish, but they've proven that they can beat people. I think William and Mary just beat somebody yesterday.
Maryland. 6 in a row.
Maryland they beat yesterday.
Yeah.
Anyway, Elon Northeastern is the answer for now. Conference USA, we've got La Tech was our preseason pick, not looking great.
Yeah.
Also Charlotte. Actually, I think Charlotte maybe was our preseason AQ. Not looking great, but hanging in there in the discussion. 14-14 overall with a 68 RPI. I mean, right now they're out, but they're hanging around. as Teddy KGB would say. UTSA first place at 8-1 with a 37 RPI. I think that's probably our AQ pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think them
or
and DBU
DBU
would be in.
And
as of
DBU is
today.
on the board. Yeah.
I actually like DBU as our AQ pick personally. That's the team that I think I have the most faith in. I really like their pitching. I would say DBU and UTSA would be the two.
I think they're
teams
both
here.
going to get in.
Yep.
And
FAU,
then the FAU is there. 52 is probably not getting you in, but if you project them to climb, then they got a shot.
Yeah. 52, 5-4 in the league, 19-11 overall. Do we add them to the board as a bubble team, or do we think right now we just keep it as 2?
We keep it as 2.
Keep it as 2. Move it along. Okay. Horizon. Obviously, we always pick Wright State here. They are
Wright State Athletic League.
Yeah, they are 7-2. They are 71 in the RPI. The only team inside the top 190 in the RPI in the Horizon. So, Raiders it is. Ivy League boys. I think Columbia was our preseason pick. You still like Columbia?
Yeah, you gotta go with Columbia.
Make it so. Penn though also 4-2. Princeton 4-2. You've got 5 teams at 4-2. Yale, Harvard, Princeton, Columbia, Penn. How about that? We'll stick with the Lions, but it's going to be a 1-bid league. It's time for the match.
Waited all off season for this.
The Golden Griffs were our preseason pick, boys, and they're 6-0 in the league. Now they're below 500 overall at 10-12. Yeah. You got the Ryder Bronx sitting there at 28 overall, 70 RPI, 5-1. I vote Bronx.
Yeah,
let's go Ryder.
Make that change. Okay. Mac.
The Ball State Athletic League now.
Yeah, it surely is right now.
Yeah.
It's Ball State cruising. This league's played. How is it possible that the Big Ten, you've got teams just starting conference, and here Ball State's already played 12 conference games? Like, it's the same geographic footprint, guys. Like, can we get our stuff together here, Big Ten? Come on. Ball State 10-2 in the league with 85 RPI, 21-7 overall. Kent State, though, keep an eye on them, guys. They are having a nice year. They're 60, actually the best RPI in the league at 65. 17-10 overall, 6-3 in the league. The Bobcats of Ohio, below 500 overall, but 8-4. But we're going to go with Ball State.
That works.
Onward. Missouri Valley. We had Southern Illinois in the preseason. I think
Indiana State.
Fighting Sycamores are in good shape here. Potentially an at-large team with that aforementioned 23 RPI. And a 5-1 record in the league, 15-12 overall. Sycamores. Listen, Larry Bird ain't walking through that door.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Parrish ain't walking through the. Guys, you want to hear me do my Rick Pitino shtick, or should we just keep moving?
Go ahead.
No.
Let's
keep moving. Mountain West, guys.
No, just go ahead.
No, forget it.
Now I'm kind of oddly curious.
Is this like a Patino club joke?
Kevin McHale ain't walking through that door either, guys.
So
all the negativity in this town sucks. It sucks and it stinks and it sucks.
Okay.
Nobody knows that reference, but it's when Patino coached the Celtics.
Well, I mean, he didn't coach them when that was the front line.
Exactly.
Hell, he would have won.
That's the point. People need to get used to the way things are. Let's move it along. Mountain West. Getting loopy, boys. Too early in the season to get loopy.
Do I need to take over?
Maybe you need to take charge, Mark. Take charge.
I like Fresno. Fresno
I'm going to go
here.
with Fresno here in the Mountain West.
Yeah, how about that? How about this? They swept. They've got a series win over Nevada, series win over New Mexico, series sweep over UNLV, and they just took 2 or 3 from UCSB out of conference this past weekend.
Yeah, how about that? We had UNLV in the preseason, so we will make that change to Fresno.
Yeah. Ooh, UNLV is 9-16.
Not great, Bob.
And then we move on to the neck.
Formerly the Bryan Athletic Conference. Not
Just
anymore.
Neck.
There's no longer a Bryant in this league.
Yeah.
We had Central Connecticut in the preseason, and they're looking
It's the
good.
Central Connecticut Athletic Conference.
Yeah, 11-1 in the league, 15-5 overall. So yeah,
I'm just impressed as someone in Connecticut's played 12 conference games.
Right?
Yeah.
Ohio Valley. We've got Morehead State and SEMO both sitting there at 5-1. I don't know who we picked in the preseason. I don't have that in front of me. But
Gotta
Mark,
be SEMO.
Mark, I feel like you did this league in the preseason. Do you have a strong preference here? You might not have done this league. It might have been. I think it was Joe actually. Never mind.
Yeah, I didn't.
By the way, you had another
SEMO.
team who's You had another team who's benefiting from playing the mighty Sycamores twice. I feel like everybody's playing Indiana State.
That's funny. I think I said that a few times on the podcast recently. Oh my gosh. All right. SEMO. Sure.
Yeah, let's do SEMO.
Okay. Pac-12. This is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, certainly Stanford, Oregon, UCLA, but then after that, how do you feel about some of these other teams? RPIs aren't great, but who's going to make a run?
Well, so you've got USC sitting there at 9-3. We talked about USC's postseason chances on the other pod this week. We have a lot of pods in the D1Baseball podcast.
I would take Arizona off the board for sure. I don't have any faith in them.
Arizona's off the board. 3-9 in the league. Yuck. Yeah. Oregon State, we had in the preseason, guys. They're 5-7 in the league with a 69 RPI. I mean, I think they're out right now.
As of now, yeah.
So the interesting ones are USC and Arizona State. Those are the teams that have gotten off to great starts. Trojans are 9-3 in first place. They have not played the meat of the conference schedule, but they're 9-3. And
they have the Stanford series.
They have the Stanford series.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we talked about how the RPI is kind of screwing them here because despite the fact that they played some pretty good non-conference things, they went to Auburn for Pete's sake, and played 3 games. They played UCLA non-conference in that Southern California, college classic. But like the fact that they played Marist 3 games and Marist is way below its usual standards. Like again, Marist won like 30 games last year or something. They're 4-22 right now. And that's just killing the Trojans in the RPI. However, this feels like a team at 9-3. I mean, like it's not going to take that much for them to finish with a winning record in the league. Like, I feel like they're very likely right now. Yes, I think they're very likely to get to at least 16 wins. And we've seen Pac-12 teams with RPIs in the 60s get in before with winning records in the league. I think that is the recipe for USC. I have them in.
Yeah, you just need something else, right? If it's conference record, if it's you did a lot in non-conference, it's just a question of will they have done enough? I mean, there's non-conference strength of schedule is 173.
Yeah.
Okay, so that does not bode well.
And again, just totally skewed by 3 games against a Marist team that's way worse than usual. I hate that. What about Arizona State? 7-2 in the league with a 50 RPI, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, interesting non-conference.
Who do you like between those 2 teams?
I think
who's going to finish higher?
The Trojans, because they've already played Stanford and won the series.
Mm-hmm.
And they're higher in the standings. But, yeah. I mean, I feel like you got to put Arizona State on the board as a bubble team.
You do.
They played a good non-conference, but didn't do great against it. They went to Mississippi State and lost 2 out of 3, which Mississippi State, isn't having a great year. I don't know if you've heard that.
It came up in my mentions.
Yeah. They played Irvine. They played Irvine and got swept at home. They played Oklahoma State 2 midweek games and lost them both. So like, it's only so much credit you can get for playing a good non-conference if you don't win enough of those games. So like I would have them on the board, but probably bubble out right now.
Yeah.
I would have them and Washington on the board. I have
Yeah.
faith in Washington down the stretch.
Yeah.
So the pecking order of those three.
USC would be first for me. I know they have RPI issues, but I just think it's such a position of strength in the standings.
I would go USC, Washington, Arizona State. That would be my pecking order.
And I mean, honestly, since it's all on projection, that's kind of what we're going with here.
And
I'll defer to you guys.
Washington also going to get screwed by the fact that they played one team who's got a terrible record, like Northern Colorado guys. They played 4 games at home against Northern Colorado. Northern Colorado is 2-18. Now, when you schedule Northern Colorado,
yeah,
it's different than when you schedule Marist. Marist is usually a team that has a winning record. Northern Colorado, maybe not so much. So maybe you kind of get what you paid for there, but that's going to really hurt. That's going to be an anchor on their RPI all year.
You just can't play them 4 times.
You can't play them 4 times at home, and yikes. They also played the Beavers just this past week at home and lost 2 out of 3. So, like, I'm not really that sanguine about Washington right now.
Sanguine? Wow. This is a Nerdcast after all.
That's right. That's right. However, they did win a series at UCLA. That's really the only thing in the resume that catches my eye. I don't like their resume. I mean, their non-conference weekends are Rhode Island, took 2 out of 3. Northern Colorado, as we talked about, swept them. At San Jose State, swept it. They're 13-10. And then Santa Clara, they split 4 games. Like, I don't know, guys. I would have Arizona State ahead of Washington in my pecking order.
Well,
Arizona State also
I'm
2 games ahead.
either way on that one.
Arizona State also 2 games ahead in the standings.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go. If you go by the standings, that's actually the pecking order.
Standings and RPI. It's Arizona State.
Well, not for USC, but yeah.
For right, Arizona State versus Washington.
Yeah.
All right, so right now we'll have ASU and Washington both on the board as bubbles. I mean, do you put the Beavers on the board as a bubble, or just make them play their way back in?
Not this week.
Okay,
I think they're still out.
I'm fine with that. Patriot League. We had Army, I believe, and Army looks like probably still the choice at 6-2 right now. 16-12 overall. The only team in the league with a winning record. So.
Yeah, it's fine.
Onward to the SEC. We've already got 6 teams in as hosts. Tennessee would be a 7th. Make sure we've got them all on our list here so I don't mess us up. LSU, Tennessee, Arkansas, Vandy, Florida, South Carolina, and Kentucky. All of them, right? That we already have in?
Yeah, there's already in. Yeah. So, and then the ones we want to talk about.
A&M,
Alabama, Auburn. We should even talk about Missouri. I mean, their injuries give me pause, but that 3-game sweep of Tennessee is just looming out there like a big flashing light bulb.
Mm-hmm.
And their RPI is in great shape. I think, the question for them is, do they have the staying power with the pitching injuries that they have? They were not really competitive at Kentucky last weekend. First 2 games, they got run ruled. The other game, they pitched well, but they didn't hit any. So it's, they got Vandy this weekend, and the schedule doesn't get a whole lot easier, right? So it's just a concern for me.
Worried about it.
Yeah. I think, looking at the other teams, I mean, Alabama, how healthy are they on the mound? Ben Hess is not going to throw this weekend. Garrett McMillan is coming back, which is, I guess that's fortuitous. But, they have lost 3 one-run games this week, all 3 weeks. or else perhaps they've won a series, but they haven't. They've gone 1-2 every week. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about them going forward. And then you got Auburn, who can really hit, but they are holding it together with duct tape on the mound. So, I don't know about their staying power. And then you got A&M, who, I mean, honestly, they've been such a disappointment this year compared to what we expected from them. Yeah. They've been able to get some, they got the clutch home runs last weekend, and that pulled them through against Ole Miss. They go to Auburn. That's a big series for both of those teams because it's one of those pecking order, right? And I think I see them pretty similar at this point. I see A&M and Auburn from what they've accomplished.
And it's amazing that we've gone this far. We've talked about a dozen SEC teams. We have not talked about Ole Miss or Mississippi State.
Yeah.
However, those teams are both 1-8 in the league with RPIs of 47 and 46 respectively. So
yeah, I think they're both out. I mean, you're just so far behind the 8 ball, 1-8. Like you just have to go on some monster run. And the problem for Ole Miss is, the problem for Ole Miss is even if you get Hunter Elliott back, the rest of your rotation is still very average. Mm-hmm. So, like, even if you get him back at some point, like, I don't have a lot of faith in the rest of that rotation to, help them go on some big run.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll say on Ole Miss is we all love the talent in their lineup, but they just really aren't producing at a level, equal to their talent. I mean, that's what you would hope if you have some struggles on the mound. Your offense picks it up, and that's kind of what Auburn's doing, and that's why they're winning games. Ole Miss is not doing that. Not to the level they need to.
I think right now I would have my order for these bubbly teams. I would have Alabama. In fact, I would have Alabama right now not on the bubble just because it's 17 RPI.
I agree. I mean, they've been in all those series. They could have easily won all three of those.
Yeah. So I would have Alabama first, and then I would go probably Auburn, and then A&M, and then I guess Missouri.
Then
the problem Missouri has, if you're projecting here, they go to A&M. They have Vandy this weekend, then to A&M. They also go to Florida and to Auburn. So 2 of these bubble teams, they have to go on the road and play.
Yeah.
With a depleted pitching staff.
Right.
It's tough.
So, okay, we'll put them all on the board for now. I'll make sure I've got everybody on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ole Miss can come off, can't they?
Yep.
Okay.
You need to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think you're good. Once you put Alabama back. Yep, Alabama.
All right. Auburn, A&M, Missouri are the 3 bubble teams here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's 11. Yep.
There we go. So we got 11 currently on the board. We'll come back to it, and I'm sure we have to cut at least one of these. All right, let's go SoCon. We had Wofford, and I believe we still will have Wofford.
Yeah. I'm comfortable there.
60 RPI, which is the best in the league, 2-1 in the league. Samford off to a 5-1 start in the conference. Not that large kind of resume right now. 88 RPI, 16 and 13 overall, but probably going to wind up being a 1-bid league, just the auto. I mean, if Wofford couldn't freaking get in last year with the resume they built, then what hope is there?
Yeah. Agreed.
Southland guys.
Everybody's the same.
Yeah.
I mean, Southeast and Louisiana won a series at Auburn. That's probably that'd probably be who I'd pick. But yeah, I can't really argue for or against anybody.
I mean, Southeastern just got they just lost a series to Incarnate Word this past weekend. They lost a series to Memphis right after the Auburn series, so it's like, yeah. I mean, Incarnate Word is 4-2 in the league. I guess Houston Christian was the other series they won, but other than that, like the non-conference is like meh. not
Yeah.
great. I mean, we
Yeah.
could stick with Southeastern.
Lamar's had some nice wins too so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, is Lamar? Are they either 3-3 also in the league? They lost a series to Nichols this past week at home.
Yeah, boy.
Everybody's got warts here.
Yeah, I
They're
just
all
go
the
with
same.
Sealer for now.
They're all the
yeah.
same.
Placeholder. So Sela is a placeholder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
SWAC.
Alabama State.
Yeah, 7-2, 19-11 overall. There is Bethune-Cookman also has a winning record, 16-13. But yeah, we'll go with Alabama State here, which was our
Yeah, how
preseason
about
pick.
although Alabama State does have a series loss to Bethune-Cookman so far already this year.
That's true. You can make the argument, but I'm comfortable sticking with the Hornets, I think.
Okay.
It's up to
Yeah.
you though. I mean, if you think we can want to
Yeah,
make that
that's
change,
fine.
we can make that change.
That's all right. Oral Roberts in the Summit.
That is correct. 6-0, 20-10 overall, only team in the league with a winning record. So that's a change. I believe we had North Dakota State in the preseason.
Yeah.
Bison 7-20. Great, Bob. Sunbelt. So this is interesting, right?
So you get Coastal, certainly
Yep.
ODU, Southern Miss.
Yeah.
And then after that, I mean, Troy's in the discussion.
Yeah, Texas State is much like their club. 86 RPI is not going to do it.
It's hard.
It's a really good club for 86 RPI.
Yep.
Louisiana had a bad series loss over the weekend. App
sure
State
did.
at home.
Yeah.
That was tough. That's a rough one for them.
Yeah, 89 RPI, not a position of strength here. App State, guys, not too far out of range with a 73 RPI and a 16-11 record overall, 6-3 in the league. Keep an eye on those guys.
Yep.
Georgia Southern, last year's darling, below 500 overall, 14-15 with a 78 RPI. I mean, Troy is the one, I guess, that is right now the closest resume, but I think right now it's probably just Coastal, ODU, and Southern Miss.
Yep. I'm good with that.
All right, West Coast Conference. Gonzaga has been coming on strong. I know that they started poorly, played a great schedule, like a really brutal schedule, and they really sucked against it, if you don't mind me saying so, boys.
What about Portland, though?
Yeah, so Portland did win the series against A&M.
Right.
And so, like, I get why you might be inclined to take the Pilots, and I'm okay with that if that's the choice. Personally, I think Gonzaga has the best roster and has righted the ship and is making its run. I believe most in Gonzaga, but Portland has the best probably case.
How about LMU?
LMU.
Going to ignore LMU.
I mean, also those two teams are all
they have a win over Long Beach State. They were a run away from taking a series from Oklahoma State on the road.
Yep.
They were a run away from taking a series from Vandy on the road.
Great point. You could take LMU.
Pretty good.
I mean,
they host Portland, or they're at Portland this weekend.
Any one of those three teams right now, it feels like you could justify. I think the Zags, I guess, at 11-14 overall. Granted, their schedule is, like I said, they played at Texas Tech for 4. They played at Tennessee for 3. They played Irvine. I mean, it was really challenging, and they struggled against it. Ultimately, I believe they're going to be there, but right now, okay, let's take Portland or LMU because they have had.
I like LMU right now.
Right,
59 RPI.
Sure, let's do it. Probably going to be a win the bid league here.
Yeah,
in all likelihood.
Portland. They have one other team with an RPI in the top 100 right now. That's San Diego at 90. Everybody else is in the 100s.
Portland, despite winning a series at A&M and being 17-11 overall, they're 101 in the RPI. So the WAC, we picked Grand Canyon in the preseason. They lost the series to Sam Houston State.
Yep.
Sam Houston State is 10-2 overall and in first place.
Gotta go with Sam right now.
I think you do.
I agree. That's what I did.
There we go.
Man, that would be disappointing to not have Jacob Wilson and Homer Bush Jr. in the postseason.
Yeah. So that gives us 67 teams for 64 spots. That's not so bad.
No.
And we've got plenty of candidates to cut. Actually, this won't be very hard.
For me, I mean, I can go ahead and give you, Missouri, Washington, Duke,
Missouri, Washington,
or Iowa.
Duke for me, it comes out of Duke or Iowa for the last spot.
Yeah.
I think the northern team that went out on the road gets in over a 10th ACC team.
I agree.
It's a good argument.
So Missouri,
Iowa, this is the first time this whole podcast we brought up the rack, but like Iowa is one of those teams that, despite the RPI, would rank really well with an advisory committee.
Yep.
Okay.
They have more. I mean, you could probably argue they have more front end talent than Duke does on the mound with Marcus Morgan and Brody Brecht and Ty Langenberg.
Jonathan Santucci is going to be a high pick next year for Duke,
yeah.
and their freshman arms are really good, but they're young. But yeah, I'm good with that. So
that was quick.
That was easy.
Okay. Duke, Missouri, Washington are our first three out.
We need one more, don't we?
No.
Yeah,
we're at 64 right now.
No, I mean one more your next four. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Clear on that. Yeah.
Are we 100% sure on Fullerton over Duke?
All right, let's pull it up and look at it. Good call.
I think right now I like Fullerton.
Yeah, they've got some nice non-conference wins.
Yeah, played a good much better non-conference.
Yeah, let's stick with them. I like them.
But yeah, if you're looking for a fourth team for the next four out,
yeah.
I mean, you could look at the Big Ten has some teams. You know, we talked about Michigan State,
Oregon State.
Oregon State makes sense to me. Let's do that.
Georgia Tech, Oregon State.
Georgia Tech, yeah.
Irvine.
Rutgers.
I like the Beavers as a team that, you know, feels like could make a run. And so I would go with that.
Okay.
So that gives us 10 SEC teams, 9 ACC, 5 Pac-12, Stanford, Oregon, UCLA, USC, Arizona State, 4 Big Ten, 5 Big 12, 2 Big East. We have Xavier in. We didn't even talk about Xavier as a bubble team. I guess they're just in. based on RPI, they're just in. We can revisit it.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, like, is that one we want to talk about here? I mean, should Xavier be in?
Yeah, I forgot about them.
Yeah. It's a 30 RPI and it's 17 and 12 overall. They have not played
2 and 9 against the top 50.
Yeah, have not played a conference game yet. They swept Wofford on the road, though, which is actually kind of loud to me. They played West Virginia on the road and won 1 out of 3. They played Santa Barbara on the road and won 1 out of 3. Like, they kind of held their own with a lot of tough road games. I think I actually kind of do like them in.
Yeah, I'd keep them in for now.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll probably end up working their way out, but for now they'd be in.
I agree. We have 3 in the Sun Belt: Coastal, ODU, Southern Miss. And I believe it was the only multi-bid. CAA has 2. Elon Northeastern, Conference USA, 2. UTSA and DBU. And I believe that's it for our multi-bid leagues. So not bad, boys. Mid-season Nerdcast done and dusted. Final thoughts,
Yep.
Marcus?
Well, I think, you know, the big conferences, as these conferences continue to grow, and of course that's going to continue in 2 years when Oklahoma and Texas join the SEC and USC and UCLA join the Big Ten. It's going to be interesting to see how the mid-majors shift, and are you still going to get the same amount of teams, or what happens, right? And I think in this field, you know, you have 10 from the SEC and what is it, 8 from the ACC?
9, I believe.
9 from the ACC. I mean, that's a lot of bids from 2 leagues.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see how that shakes out, because last year we didn't have that, right? We had a more normalized field, and there were spots for mid majors. A lot of that came from the stolen bids, but still, So that's always interesting to see how that's going to play out. And I think the other thing is seeing where the RPI is today, and we'll chart that and see how it's going to change over the next couple weeks, and see how volatile this is. And that way we can learn, okay, well, what is it today? Okay. And how is it going to change? And somebody who's, say, Xavier is 26 today, where are they going to be in 2 weeks? And do they have staying power? Because sometimes we go through this exercise and we think there's no way that that's going to hold up. And then we look on selection day, they're in position. So that's the kind of things that I'm looking at as we go through these next few weeks.
Kendall?
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is just kind of the race at the bottom of the SEC. I think to me the Pac-12 is really interesting. I mean, this week we had USC and Arizona State in, but I could easily see Washington and Oregon State, and even somebody like Washington State who just took a series from UCLA. They could get in the mix as well. So I think for me, those are the two conferences that kind of stand out as of right now.
Yeah, good takes, boys. I think this was a fun exercise as always. Look forward to doing it again. I believe in 2 weeks will be our next Nerdcast, and then we'll go weekly from there. I think that's usually our plan.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Gentlemen, always a pleasure. Mark, it's so great to see your bearded face.
I know, right? It's pretty.
Really impressed with the beard work, off-season beard work. Yeah. You clearly been hitting it hard. So good for you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks to our sponsors, S2 Cognition and Blast Baseball, for sponsoring our podcast.
Absolutely, guys. Shout out to S2 and Blast. Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody for listening. We'll do it again in 2 weeks. Until then, so long, everybody.